Hello, welcome to another Narc Survivor live video. In this one, we're going to be discussing what a narcissist realizes they should never have played you. Where they realize that they should never have tricked, deceived you, misled you, misguided you. And when they realize that the abuse was bad, it was wrong, and that they are responsible for that, and that they shouldn't have done it, they shouldn't have treated you that way. When a narcissist realizes all of these things, because I've seen, there are some content creators who are talking about this. They're talking about how a narcissist suddenly has this epiphany where they realize, what they've been doing is wrong. They shouldn't have done those things to you. But actually, no, if you are dealing with a true narcissist, it's probably never going to happen. In extremely rare cases, they may realize and accept it. It's extremely rare. It's very unlikely that any of you who are watching this will be dealing with a narcissist who's going to come to that realization. They're just never going to think that way. It goes against the nature of their disorder. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. Of how and why the narcissist will never realize that they shouldn't have played you. They're never going to come to that realization. They're never going to have that epiphany. And I'm sure, this may be something that many of you can relate to. I'm sure it's something that many of you can understand. So yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about in this one. That's what we're going to be getting into. And this really revolves around their defense mechanisms. It's set up to protect them against anything that challenges their illusion of superiority. They have to see themselves as perfect. So even if it seems like they've done something wrong, like with the narcissists who are more overt, even if it seems like that's something that people shouldn't do, and they can even understand how if they've done something that's immoral or it's a crime, they can see that, yes, it's wrong for people to do that, but it's not wrong for them because they're special, they're entitled. Or it's not wrong for them to do that to you because you're bad, you're crazy, or something is wrong with you. This is the mentality of someone with full-blown NPD. This is how they think. In their minds, they've always got an excuse. Their behavior is always justified. It's either because they're so wonderful, they can just do whatever they want without any consequences, or it's because something is wrong with you and therefore you are deserving of what they do to you, how they treat you. And there's no getting around that. This is how the disorder is set up to protect them so that they don't ever reflect on their shame. So they're never going to take real accountability. Even the ones who are more overt, they're still going to shift the blame onto you. The covert narcissists, they're not even going to see what they're doing wrong. They're just going to turn away from it. You try and confront them, you try and do anything, you try and bring anything to them, they're not even going to look at it. They're not even going to care. They're going to be indifferent to it, to anything that challenges or opposes their illusion of superiority. Now, the narcissists who are more overt, more grandiose, they very well might take notice of it. because they're more confident in themselves. So they may acknowledge that they've done certain actions to you, but they're still going to shift the blame onto you. They're still going to see it as though they had the right to do it. It was necessary. You deserved it. Or because they're so wonderful, they can do whatever they like. You have no right to challenge them. Is how they will see it. So they're not ever gonna think that there's anything wrong with them. And they're just gonna keep doing what they're doing. They're never gonna learn, they're never gonna change, they're never gonna grow. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually. It's just never gonna happen. They're never gonna change in any way. They're only gonna go down, they're only gonna get worse. Because they never go within, they never self-reflect. They never challenge any idea or narrative about themselves. And I've been talking about this since the very beginning on my channel. How important it is for people to self-reflect. For people to just see themselves. Narcissists do not see themselves. They don't want anything to do with the real them. And that's why they don't even see you. You don't even exist in their world. They mold you, they distort your self-image into whatever suits them. Initially in the love bombing phase, they prop you up on a pedestal. They see you as perfect to reflect back to themselves how perfect they are to be with you. And then once you start to see through the illusion, you start to see more of the real them. Now there has to be something wrong with you, because you're not seeing them as perfect. You're not worshiping them. You're not propping them up on the pedestal. And instead, now you're seeing their behaviors and you're calling them out on it. Or you're looking uncomfortable. You're looking like you're walking on eggshells around them. So they can tell that something's off. They can tell that you're not comfortable with it. You're not comfortable with who they are, with how they're portraying themselves. You can see that it's fake, it's not right. And you're not happy about their actions. Because if you were happy with their actions, if you were okay with the abuse, this entitled mentality that they have, then how come you look very uncomfortable when you're around them? You look like you're kind of closing yourself off. You have more closed body language. Maybe you're not talking as much as you used to. You're not so involved with them as you were before. You're not trying to get involved with them. Why is that? Of course, they can see it. They can pick up in it. They can tell that you have changed by being around them. And it reveals to them that you're not comfortable with who they're portraying themselves to be to you. Like, you pretty much do not agree with the self-image that you're seeing from them. And you don't agree with their actions. You're not okay with it. And that's why they then go to devaluing you, turning against you. They don't ever self-reflect. They don't ever look within and think, oh, this person's acting different. This person's uncomfortable with my actions. Maybe I should self-reflect. Maybe I should check if there's something I need to change about myself. Something I need to make better. Maybe I should have better manners. No, they don't ever think that way. You're just a mirror that reflects something back to them about themselves. Other than that, you have no use. That's all that you are, is a mirror. You're never anything more to them. And so the way they look at it is just distort the mirror so that they get a different reflection of themselves. Just affect you so that it affects their reflection. And so that's what they do. They turn against you. They start pressuring you, intimidating you, cornering you, using coercive control, all of these tactics to try and shape you, mold you into something that reflects back to them how they want to be seen, how they want to feel about themselves. Many of you, you're thinking that it's something to do with you. You're thinking that you're the problem, you've done something wrong. No, you've just seen them for what they are. You're just recognizing their actions, and just like a normal person, you're not comfortable with it. Because I don't think anyone here, other than the trolls, of course, I don't think anyone is going to say that there's any excuse for abuse, any justification for it, or for coercive control, intimidating someone, or any of the things that these narcissists do. So of course you're going to feel uncomfortable with it. That doesn't mean that you're bad or that something is wrong with you. It means that you're healthy. It means that you're normal, unlike them. That's why you're reacting to it in that way. But yeah, they take it as a sign of rejection, because it reflects back to them that something is wrong with them. Since you're no longer praising them, worshipping them, admiring them. But because of their defense mechanisms, they're not going to let that in. They're not ever going to look at themselves and think that something might be wrong with them. So they have to deflect it onto you. They have to get you to see yourself as though something's wrong with you, so that you then react to them and see them as being something better, something more ideal, something more together. Once they've torn you down, they've destabilized you, and then you're feeling broken and confused. So this is the mentality. This is what's processing in their minds when they're doing these things. And a lot of it, yeah, it is unconscious. It's not completely deliberate or intentional. Sometimes it is. But they don't really think it through. They're not thinking about so much why they have to do it. They just kind of know, if I push this button, I'm going to get this reaction and it's going to make me feel better. That's as much as they know about it. They don't think too deeply. Remember, they don't really self-reflect. So that's what's going on there. If you're finding this video helpful so far, give it a thumbs up. So yeah, I mean, regardless of what happened, regardless of how it went down, you are the reason why everything went wrong. It's all you, it's all your fault. That's how they see it. And I know this baffles so many of you, because it's like, even in situations where it could be completely obvious, it could be completely clear that they were at fault, they were the cause of it, they did something wrong with you. It could be completely clear and obvious, and yet somehow they will still blame you. They will still make it out like it was your fault. Even if they had complete control over everything, everyone, the entire situation, they were covering all bases, and there was no other way that it could have gone. In their minds, it just has to be you. Because it can't be them. In their minds, they are perfect. They don't make mistakes. They don't do anything wrong. So if anything's happened, if anything's gone wrong, if you're hurt, then it has to be your fault. It can't ever be them. As crazy as that sounds, it's because of these defense mechanisms that protect their fragile ego. They can't ever see it as though it's them. It always has to be you. So even when they are the abuser, they've abused you, they still see themselves as the victim or hero. They're not ever seeing it as though there's something wrong with them. Even if, like with the overt narcissist, even though you might call them out on something and they can see it, they're confident enough in themselves and their ego is blown up enough, you know, they're getting enough admiration from other sources to the point where they are able to see exactly what you're talking about, and they can connect it to themselves. They can see, yes, okay, I did that to you, I caused that, okay. Or they'll just say, yeah, but it's because of what you did that led to that. They'll come up with something. Or if you're dealing with a narcissist who is more sociopathic, even psychopathic, they're just going to say that you deserved it. Or they'll just come all the way out and just rip the mask practically all the way off and just say, yeah, so what? Yeah, I did that. Yeah, I destroyed you. I ruined your life. What are you going to do about it? How are you going to affect me? Is what they might say. If you're dealing with one that's really high up on the spectrum, a malignant narcissist, a sociopath, psychopath, they will connect it all the way to their actions. They will see, yes, I did this, but they're not going to take it as though that means they're bad. Their defense, and it's still a defense, it's still just to defend their ego. Their defense against that is because, yeah, you're weak, you're stupid, because I was able to do that to you, and that's why it's your fault. Because if you were strong, if you were any good, then you wouldn't have let me do that. And they'll just blame you. They'll say, yeah, you deserved it. Or it's because you're stupid. You're naive. You're too trusting. Still putting it back onto you. Making it about, oh, something is wrong with you. When no, that's not right. If someone is being abused, if someone is being harmed, they are the victim. They're not to blame. But this is what you will see with malignant narcissists, sociopaths, psychopaths, is this extreme victim blaming. And it can get really bad. And there's no getting through to them. They are completely delusional to think that way. But just think about how delusional someone has to be, to the point where it's like, they can abuse you, they can attack you, and still turn it around at you because you're weak or because you're stupid. I mean, that's just crazy. It's just such a complete lack of self-awareness. To the point where they can't even see that, no, maybe you're the one who's weak, you're the one who's stupid for doing that. They just can't even make that connection because they lack that self-awareness. Even the ones who are higher on the spectrum. But yeah, some of you may have dealt with that. And if you have, you know, I'm really sorry that you had to go through that, because yeah, with those who are higher on the spectrum, it's just more invalidation, more gaslighting. I mean, that is really extreme abuse. It really is. And I'm glad you made it out of it. I'm glad that you're safe now, because it's one thing to be abused and for such a long period of time, but then also the abuser is in complete denial about it, invalidating your experience of the abuse, gaslighting you, telling you that you deserved it, calling you weak, stupid, naive, just further piling on the trauma, the abuse. I mean, honestly, that is just unbelievable. And yeah, I'm sorry for any of you who had to go through that. And yeah, I'd just like to give you the encouragement and just the truth that you need to cure, which is that, no, these people are weak, these people are stupid, They're so weak that they can't even self-reflect and take accountability for their actions. They can't even see that they're so broken inside, and that's what led them to the point where they harmed you. They can't even make that connection with themselves and their actions. Because someone who's really strong, emotionally strong, they have self-discipline. They don't have to act out in those ways. But yeah, they'll put it on to you. They'll say that you deserved it or because of something you did. But it's always blown out of proportion. It's never justified. And, it's usually because of one little mistake that you did. And then what will they do? They'll hold a grudge against you. And then in their minds, that gives them the excuse to just run you into the ground for the rest of your life. Because of one little thing you did. You see how they're just completely delusional, caught up in fantasy. It's all based on their emotions. And they idealize you in that moment. In their minds, you were perfect then. You were just complete and utter perfection. When you just slipped up and said something to them that hurt them, or you brought up something in the past, or whatever you're meant to have done, whether it was real or imagined, completely exaggerated, in their minds, you were perfect, you were overshadowing, towering over them, making them feel this small. And yeah, it just takes them right back to childhood when they were rejected, abandoned by a parent or whoever it was. And in their minds, it's like, how dare you? How dare you do that to me? And then they hold it against you for life. They feel like it's justified then for them to just abuse you for the rest of your life. And do the things that they do. It's absolutely crazy. And it's all because they do not want to self-reflect. They can't ever self-reflect and think, okay, but what led you to that point? What did they do that caused you to act that way or to say that? They're not ever thinking about it that way. If they did self-reflect, if they did come off their high horse, they can actually have some compassion for you and recognize your journey and your strength. Because let me tell you, other people in your shoes, if they went through what you went through, the things that were done to you, if they were done to them, they may have reacted far differently. Who knows what they would have done to that narcissist? They could have killed them by now. And of course, that's why they chose you. That's why they keep you around. It's because they know you're not like that. They know that you're a good person. They know that you're nice. And it kind of reminds them of themselves in childhood. When they once wore their heart on their sleeve, they were once open, vulnerable. And, that abuse that they received in their childhood, they weren't strong enough to overcome that. And that's why now they pick out vulnerable, innocent targets like yourself. People who are so freely loving and giving. And now they want to put you through the ringer. Because it regulates their trauma in some sort of way. It makes them feel better. That's their supply. It can come in positive or negative forms. But this all goes back to their childhood conditioning, childhood abuse. That's why they need someone like you around. That's why they do what they do. And that's why they will never blame themselves. They will never take accountability. Because then that would mean they'd have to stop. They don't want to stop. They want to keep going. Because it makes them feel good. It makes them feel better. They want to keep using you. Because they've got this big gaping hole inside of them. This massive wounds. And you make it feel better. So that's why they do what they do. If they were to admit fault, it would shatter their fragile self-image. And their self-image is very important to them because it defends against how they really feel about themselves based on how they were treated in childhood. So yeah, narcissists, they have these defense mechanisms as part of their disorder, which are used to block out guilt and shame, of feeling like they've done something wrong, of feeling inadequate. They have a defense mechanism. It's kind of like, it's like a wall, a shield. You can't penetrate. You can't get through to it. And it kind of blocks everything out. So they don't have to feel those things. And instead, they just put it onto you. And then they go off and they look for positive supply from other people. But yeah, you can be vulnerable. You could open up. And they see that in you, and that makes you a good target. Because they can penetrate you and just put all of this stuff onto you. They can get you to feel it for them. They can get you to accept the blame. Because you're a relatively whole, relatively healthy person. You're not as broken as you think. Even despite everything that you've been through with them. I mean, think about it. You're still able to feel the guilt and shame for them. And you still have the capacity to take accountability, even for things that aren't even your fault. So you're very whole inside, because they can't do any of that. They can't even take accountability for small things. But yeah, they rewrite the story so that they can still be the hero or the victim. Because that's who they want to be. They don't want to be the person who's done something wrong, unless if maybe you don't have a strong support network, or maybe if it's a sociopath, a psychopath, someone who just doesn't even care about the reputation, then they don't even need to be the hero or victim then. But in some ways, they kind of, in their minds, they're still the victim when they're saying that you deserved it. You know, these are really extreme, right up the top of the spectrum, narcissists, sociopaths and psychopaths. They will see it as though it's something so extreme. You know, a mild, lower narcissist isn't going to be like this. You know, the ones who are higher up, very extreme narcissists. Just as an analogy, very sick one. But they are the type who can hit you in the face until you're bleeding. And maybe they get blood on their hands. And then in their minds, they're the victim because you got blood on them. Do you see how warped that mindset is? But this is how they think. The ones who are higher up on the spectrum. And I'm sure some of you may have experienced something like that. Maybe not exactly the same thing, but it's something where it's like they've done it to you, and naturally it affected you. But then because it affected you, it then affected them as well, because they were in the vicinity. And then in their minds, that made them the victim. It's absolutely crazy. I mean, this is really sick, extreme stuff. We're not even talking about just your standard narcissist. We are talking about sociopaths and psychopaths, where they will do something to you and it will affect you so badly that it then affects your ability to take care of them, or something where it's like it has a knock-on effect on them. Like they hit you and then they get blood on themselves. And then in their minds, they're the victim, and they're like, you got blood in me. And in their minds, it gives them even more rights to further abuse you for that. It's absolutely crazy. But if you haven't dealt with someone like that, there are people out there like that, who are that delusional, that disconnected from themselves. But yeah, even the standard narcissist, they believe that their actions are justified no matter what harm they cause to you. In their minds, it's always justified. In their minds, they're always right. They have to see themselves as perfect in order for their disorder to function. Otherwise, it all collapses like a house of cards. It all collapses right on top of them if they don't view themselves as perfect. Any form of self-reflection threatens their illusion of superiority. And even you self-reflecting, that also affects the illusion as well. They have to train you to be their puppet so that you act in ways that are predictable, controlled, so that you don't threaten the illusion of superiority, because they want to stay in the fantasy, the simulation. They want a never-ending simulation until the end of time, because reality was too difficult for them to deal with. And it's kind of sad when you think about it. It's like, because there's so much shame that they're trying to avoid, all of the accountability, their actions, they just want to continue to exist in this never-ending simulation, because they can't accept themselves. And maybe they can't accept the world because they project their own insecurities outwards, because they can't contain it in themselves. And is this not what we see everywhere today? Is this not why people are all over social media uploading these picture-perfect images? Because deep down they feel so broken inside, they can't accept themselves. They want the fantasy, the simulated version of it. And so many other things. And this is just the direction that society is going in. People can't accept the broken, less desirable parts of themselves. And it's really sad that things are going this way. You know, back in the 70s, you'd see like celebrities who still had crooked teeth and they weren't perfectly white. And, you know, I'm not saying that it has to be that way now. No, we do have the technology to straighten our teeth, whiten our teeth, and that's okay. But it doesn't mean that everything has to be perfect, artificial. It's better that we just be real. Take care of what we can take care of, yes, to the best of our ability. But the way that things are going these days, I mean, you know, you see people getting plastic surgery, changing things about themselves in a way that is not real. I mean, it's all right, you know, if you want to get braces or wear makeup, but plastic surgery, I think that's taken it a bit too far. And same thing with these filters. We've got them on TikTok, and there's these apps as well. Again, I'm not completely against it. I think everything in moderation is okay. And I myself, I also use filters sometimes to improve the lighting. So a little bit of a filter here and there, increasing the contrast, brightness, saturation, that's okay. But when it's going to extremes and the image is so distorted where it looks nothing like you, I mean, that's definitely taken it a step too far, isn't it? Because then it's like, you may like yourself in the image, but then when you look in the mirror, you're not really happy with yourself. And that's not real self-love. That's not real confidence. That's not real self-acceptance. So we got to get back to loving ourselves and who we are when we wake up in the morning, our true natural selves. And that's just it, you begin to realize just how beautiful this world is when you do truly love and accept yourself. Because a lot of times, when you're not happy with the world, you're not happy with things, it's because even us non-narcissists, we project that outwards. If it's too difficult for us to contain or overcome, that we put it outside of ourselves and we just think, it's just this stupid place. And, sometimes it is. Let's be real, sometimes it is, sometimes certain places aren't so great. But just look around at the nature. Look around at the trees, the birds. And, that's just it. You look at like children, animals, you think that they worry about these things? Of course not. They're just being who they are, who they're supposed to be. They're not thinking about how they look. But yeah, it does appear as though society is going this way. It's becoming more and more fake every day. And I think it's important to come back to ourselves as someone who, I've been doing live videos now for about 5 years. I've never used a filter on any of my live videos. And there's no special lighting, nothing. As you can see, I'm just doing it in my room. Just got a little light on here and just natural lighting from the window. And you're just getting the real me. You're getting the real me in HD. And, for me, that's where my confidence comes from. And, maybe that is quite rare in the world today. I'm sure that it is. Is that my true confidence, my true happiness, contentment comes from me just being me. And not worrying about people judging me or what they think about me, but just me being me and expressing myself as I am. Because that's just it, when I was a child, I didn't have to do anything. I didn't really have to perform for anyone. And, I was kind of lazy, didn't really do too well in school. And despite that, I was accepted anyway, at least until a certain age. So maybe that's why I'm like that, I don't know. But yeah, I do feel like I'm just good enough as I am. I don't have to be trying to do anything special. And I think that's where we need to get back to. Because what you see these days is people who are so insecure, and it's crazy. It's like they've always got to have the latest car, and they've got to have everything designer. And it's like, why? What are you trying to hide? What would happen if we just took away the car, we took away the designer clothes, and just put you in just normal clothing? How would you feel about yourself then? And that's how you know. Their identity, their false identity is tied to these things, to money, possession, status. There's no true inherent self-worth. And that's really bad. And you've got to think sometimes, we're not perfect, but just think about how blessed we are to be here today. It's an absolute miracle. So many miracles got us here. Like the amount of miracles that must have happened for this universe to being created, and this galaxy, solar system, this world, and for it to be able to harbor life, and for as long as where we could develop into the humans that we are today, where we're conscious and we have intelligence. And then even past that, I mean, there's millions of sperm that go to fertilize the egg, and you were that one of the millions of sperm. So all of these things, I mean, it's just a miracle. It's just millions of miracles together that any of us are even here today. And yet you imagine some beings from like some other galaxy observing us, and it's like, but we're insecure about how we look. We're so worried about the car that we drive, the badge in it, the badge in our clothes. You see how ridiculous that sounds? But this is what it's like. This is how people think. But maybe that's why, I've always been very spiritual myself. I've always enjoyed like researching about galaxies, the universe, human evolution. So I know that, regardless of how I look or what I wear, I'm blessed to be here today. And that's why I'm just so proud and confident in being myself. But that's just it, because narcissists, they don't think that way. They're not happy with themselves. They are very insecure. They have a very fragile ego. And that's why, they want to live in a fantasy, a simulation, because they feel so broken inside. And that's where we're getting to gradually. I mean, we're seeing it now already. People are just hooked on social media, filters, video games, OnlyFans, artificial intelligence. People are hooked on simulated things. And, not that it's all bad. I mean, of course, without it, I wouldn't be able to speak to you right now. So, of course, there's also good things that can come out of it. We can learn new things, and it could be educational. But mostly people are getting hooked on superficial things in social media, the internet, because they feel like they're not good enough, or the world isn't good enough. People aren't good enough. And gradually now people are being replaced by artificial intelligence, robots. Jobs are going to be lost. And we're already seeing virtual reality headsets, the metaverse, and gradually they are just going to end up, after they put the chips in our brains, we're just going to be wired up to a simulation. That's what's going to happen. It's inevitable. And it's really sad, but that's how it goes, because so many people are depressed, anxious, stressed. They're not happy with themselves, they're not happy with their lives, they're not happy with their relationships, and we're all just so separate now, disconnected. So what is there left to do? Once you're disconnected, you need to connect to something. And then, this is what they do. They provide these I mean, there's supposedly solutions. There's television, radio, the internet, social media, OnlyFans, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, and eventually an artificial simulation. That's the way that it's going. And it seems like there's very little pushback against it. Just like with anything else. So, this world isn't going to be around forever. It's not always going to be like this. And we're very lucky, that we have this life that we have now. We're very lucky that we have ourselves, we have our bodies, our brains. And as far as we know, this is real life. We're very lucky to get to experience that. Because at some point in the near future, it seems like it's going to be all over. And I knew that this was coming for quite a long time. I knew that eventually they're going to introduce these chips in our brains and then eventually just wire us all up to a simulation. Just like out of the Matrix. We'll all just be laying in these little pods. But yeah, that's the way that it's going. But they bring it out so gradual and they kind of normalize it over time. It's like by the time that you're in it, you don't even think anything bad of it. I mean, just think about how bad things have gotten these days with like video games, social media. It's gotten really bad and people don't even think about it. But yeah, this is how it is. And they always create some kind of problem and then it becomes the solution for you. Or it's something where everyone else is doing it. It's like everyone else is on social media. You got to be on it for your work. Like we can't even live in the world today without social media, without the internet. It's impossible. And who knows, eventually it may be that way with assimilation. It's like we've all got to go into it. And you feel obligated. It's like you have no choice. It's really messed up. But you got to remember, this world is run by psychopaths. Psychopaths that don't really value life. They don't realize how special we are. But yeah, let me know what you think in the live chat. Layla says, keep being you, Narc Survivor. Don't let anyone take that from you. Everyone here, just be ourselves. We are all worthy and good enough for ourselves. Yeah, that's right. We are all good enough. And, even if there's something where you feel like you're not good enough, you can be better. You can work on it. I mean, of course, myself, when I first started the channel, I didn't know that much about narcissism. And I've done a lot of research over the past few years to get to where I am today. So like with anything, you just put in the work, you work on it. And you just have to accept yourself as you are. I mean, you've got to understand that everyone starts somewhere. And, you're beginning the process. And often, just making that progress, that's the best part. More than actually achieving the goal or reaching the destination. Heike Homestead says, once you see they are hollow, just mirroring you, it's easier to not be interested in them. They are empty, nothing there. That's it, there's nothing inside of them. All that's really there is just kind of like a program. It's just, they will give you the reactions and the, just whatever you want to see. Whatever they think is going to get them what they want from you. And that's all that it is. It's just so that they can achieve their objective, which is all about just feeding their ego, making themselves feel important, desirable, getting their desired outcome, getting money from you, whatever it is. It's really got nothing to do with you. They don't even seek you. It's all just completely superficial. And to some extent, it's that way with pretty much everyone. Like, no one's really going to see the real you. Even if they wanted to, they're never going to see what's actually in your heart. No matter how much time they spend with you. And, that's just it, That's just the 3D reality. We're here to experience things as separate individuals. So that's kind of the whole purpose of it. At least that's how I see it. It is more about our own individual experience, more than anything else. Unless, of course, if you feel like you are a chosen one like myself, then you didn't just come here for your own individual experience and to make everything about yourself. You did come here to see things from other people's perspectives, to understand them, and to give an experience for them. And maybe to wake them up as well. So you came here with a purpose to serve people in some sort of way. If you are a chosen one. There's no chosen one who came here just for themselves, just for their own satisfaction, just for their own pleasures. No, that doesn't exist. I mean, of course, that doesn't mean that you have to completely just be entirely selfless. No, you still have to get your needs met in order to sustain yourself. But any chosen one out there, all of the chosen ones throughout history, they came here with a purpose to serve people. Because that's just it, we have a higher purpose. We have a mission from God. Everyone else, they can just be in their own little world. They can just worry about themselves. But not us. Kim H says, every day a new toy was coming from Amazon. Waste of money. Christmas every day around you. Yeah, that's what they're like. I mean, especially if it's your money, then they feel like they've hit the jackpot. They won the lottery. It's like they're just so overwhelmed and they can't resist, all of the money coming in. And, they're probably thinking, how long is it going to take for you to figure them out, expose them? And they're just trying to, spend as much as they can before you do. But yeah, I got Nada a little something. Ordered it online. Because she had the last one for 1 year. So I got her this touchpad motion sensitive water fountain. I haven't seen her use it yet, but I'm sure she will soon. Had a good discount on it. Yana Michaela says, this galaxy, this world is beautiful, yet the humans on it can make it look the most ugly. You know, in some ways, I can definitely see where you're coming from. I mean, yes, of course, you know, this world is beautiful. And it was long before we got here. We have polluted it in many ways, and, you know, now there's so much trauma, so much abuse, mental illnesses. But you got to think as well, I mean, you know, where did we come from? What were we like back in the day? Things were much worse before, in some ways. Like, we were much more barbaric and uncivilized. So in some ways, things are getting better. And maybe it does just take time, who knows? But all of this technology, it is going to create a problem for us. But also, you know, we have many different countries, and we have all of these different cultures, food, religion. So, different architecture. So that, you know, there are a lot of things that we do have in this world, and I've traveled around. You know, there's definitely a lot of things to be thankful for. But I do get what you mean. I mean, you know, you will think that way if you are someone who is self-aware, self-reflects, and you've done the work on yourself. Of course, you're going to look around and think, you know, why can't they do that? And I get it, I do. That's just how it is sometimes, you know. And it's not about comparing ourselves, you know, we don't have that spiritual ego. We just have to distance ourselves from those who are toxic and just be compassionate from afar, and hope that one day they do figure it out for themselves. Unfortunately, many of them won't, and that's just how it is. Thank you, Homestead says AI will only make it worse. Exactly. I mean, you know, before you go out there trying to play around with anything, you got to fix yourself first. You know, you got to get yourself to a certain point. You got to do the work on yourself before you start playing around with like artificial intelligence. You know, worry about your own intelligence first. But that's just it. You know, they look at it like it's like the cure to solve everything. Only we can do that for ourselves. Anything else is just going to mask it. It's not going to treat the root cause. A says people are hooked on things they can't take with them when this body vessel gives out. Exactly. These are all just distractions. And much of it never really means anything. Steady Pace says narcissists were cavemen. LOL. Yeah, of course. I mean, they had to be. That's just it. I mean, in nature, you have to be a bit of a narcissist in order to survive. And many of you, I mean, if you were thrown out into the wilds, you would likely become narcissistic very quickly or you would die. And that's different because it's like, your life is at stake. You could die. You could not have any food. So that's a completely different thing then. I mean, I myself, I'm a vegan. I have been for over 5 years now. But if I was in nature, and let's say somehow there's no vegetables, there's no nuts or seeds, I would have to kill an animal in order to survive. And that's just how it is, that's nature. Nature is messed up. But, that's when we were cavemen. That's when we were like apes. And even apes, apes, they're vegetarians. But now we are meant to have evolved. We haven't really. I was saying this to someone the other day. I mean, many of us were really just somewhere between apes and humans. We're not really fully developed humans. We're still animals. We're still wild. It's just we wear clothes. That's all that it is. That's really what it is with so many people. And I know many of you've seen the same thing, especially with narcissists. They're just animals. They're not really people. They're not really human. And it makes sense because these societies, these communities haven't been around for that long. You think about how long our human history has been, from when we were in the wilds, in tribes, and how long it's been then since we've developed like cities. It's just the last few decades. So you really think all of these people can just transition, with all of the, their genetics, and you really think they can transition that easily into a civilized society? Of course they can't. And that's why we see all of these things happening all of the time. And there's all of these crimes, everything. Because a lot of people, they haven't really evolved. And it's really a journey for ourselves to manage our own triggers, our own emotions. And even for myself, I mean, of course, being provoked a lot, there have been times where I've lashed out. I've been emotionally reactive. I've been like an animal myself. And of course, I'm not proud of that. And I do try to be more stoic, non-reactive. And especially as a man, that's how we should be. Women, you get a bit more of a leeway. You can be more, you could be more animal-like. You can be more emotional. But us men, no, we can't get away with that. We have to be leaders. And I know with women, that's what they find attractive in us. It's the way that we are stoic. We are, more calm. We're under control. And of course, women like to wind us up. They like to try and see if they can get a reaction out of us. And yeah, that's what we call, it's called an SHIT test. Because they're testing you, and if they can push your buttons, if they can get a reaction out of you, instantly they lose respect. And they see you as a beta male. And then they go off with the guy who doesn't give them any reaction. That's what they do. Because that's the guy they really want. The guy who's maybe already had so much attention from women, very attractive, so it's just another girl for him. It doesn't really get him. He's not really that easily provoked. Emotionally or even sexually as well. That's why we see like characters like James Bond, or can't remember his name, in 50 Shades of Grey. They're almost like zombies. It's just like no emotion. Because that's what women are just biologically attracted to, is men who are very stoic, very calm. But then they love testing that guy as well to see if they can get a reaction. It's just how we're wired as humans. Women like to test men to see, are we strong enough? Can we stay calm under pressure? Can we be a leader? Because of course, it's all evolutionary. It's all down to survival. Like back in the day, let's say it's you and your woman, and a lion is chasing after you. You can't get emotional then. You can't just start screaming and crying. And she can get emotional with you because it's meant to be, it's your job to save her and protect her, of course. That's how you continue the survival of the species. But you got to stay stoic. You got to stay calm. And you can't reveal any fear, because that's what gets her to stick with you. That's what women love. That's what really turns a woman on. It's when you're calm, you're stoic. But it's not about women, for you as a man. It's much better for you to think logically. Of course, there's a time for you as well to be emotional, be creative. But that's when you're in a safe space. You can't be thinking emotional and creative when, if you're in danger or anything. No, of course not. That's never a good idea for a man. deal with that noise every day, all day. People always take their frustrations out on the door. Very noisy here, I myself, as I mentioned, I'm more stoic, more calm, more just at peace with myself. I'm more of a thinker. But yeah, there's, I like to make a lot of noise to get attention. They like to let me know they're not happy with themselves, they're not happy with their lives. And it does shock me, because I think, is it really that bad? You're really not happy? I mean, so it shocks me sometimes, but that's just it. I don't know their story. I don't know where they've been, I don't know where they come from. If I did know, then I'd probably see things that way. It'd probably make more sense to me. It's because I give the benefit of the doubt. But yeah, all the time I get all of these. I've got so many women coming after me all the time. It's crazy. Every time I go to the mall, it's like they're all after me. Every time I leave the door, there's like some woman waiting for me. And when I'm coming back up, especially at the end of the day, so if I go outside and then I come back later in the evening, there's always either a woman, a couple of women, they're like waiting for me there before I go in the lift, or when I'm going up in the lift. Maybe they don't watch my videos, I don't know. I know many people do in this country, but as I mentioned in a live video recently, I said I'm not even attracted to Malaysian women. I'm just not even interested in them at all. I mean, for me, it's personality more than anything. But even looks, I'm not really attracted to that look myself. And in all honesty, it was never that way, even though Britain, we once ruled Malaysia back in the late 1800s. And yet, no one here really has any Western features. Because Westerners, they weren't interested in Malaysians. They were just like slaves, really. But of course, when it comes to the Philippines, now that's a different story. Britain and Spain, Portugal, they invaded the Philippines. And, it's very clear that some people in the Philippines, they do have more Western features, some of them. Of course, even Western names, a lot of them have. It's a Christian country. And that's just how it is, But for me, no, it's not really, it was never anything I was interested in. Dating anyone in Malaysia. Never really crossed my mind. But of course, I always had many girls, they were coming on to me and trying to get my attention. God, at this point, probably thousands of girls here. But no. The Philippines, yes. Well, what about you? Let me know. Are you interested in any foreign people? Are you interested in dating at all at the moment? I mean, after leaving the narcissist, if you've left them. Or maybe your narcissist was from a different country. Janelle Lindsay says, don't let them break the flow, Chris. We are here with you and see right through them. Glad to hear that encouragement. Steady Pace says, COVID loved watching James Bond movies. Yeah, I'm sure they would love that because, they like to think that they are James Bond. They don't want anyone else to be that, though. I'm sure they'd love that. They'd love to be this British spy, traveling the world, sleeping with foreign women. I bet they love that fantasy. Ellie Wen says they are subhumans by structure. Yeah, I mean, it may not sound nice to say it, but they are. They are subhumans. They are inferior. And that might sound mean, but they're mean because they lack empathy. And that's why. That's why they're subhumans, is because they don't have the empathy. And that's really what makes us human, is that we're compassionate. That's what separates us from cold-blooded killers that are animals. Because there's animals out there in nature, tigers, they will just kill and not feel anything. But we're meant to be different. We're meant to have empathy, compassion. And that's why many of you couldn't go out into the wild and kill wild animals. You couldn't just hunt them because you would feel bad. And you ever think that maybe there's a reason for that? Maybe there's a reason why practically none of us could go out there and kill wild animals. We wouldn't feel good about ourselves for doing that. Maybe because we're not meant to kill. Maybe we're just meant to protect. Steady Pace says, I'm working on being stoic, need more self-control, I confess. Yeah, that's good. That means that you're on that journey to become stoic, because that all starts with having the awareness. Steadyface says, NS, wear a scary mask, put it on just for those stalking girls. Well, that's it, isn't it? I mean, it's because, well, it's not so much about appearance. It's not just that they're idealizing me, they're viewing me as this perfect target for them to stalk. It's about my feelings about myself. It's because I feel confident. I feel comfortable in my own skin. So that's what attracts them, because that's what they want. They don't feel good. They don't feel confident in themselves. Perhaps because they just base it off of their appearance. And they see me, they see that I'm happy. So that's why they come after me, because really they just want my happiness. They haven't got that for themselves. Thank you, Janelle. But yeah, you know, I am quite, I'm pleased with how I look. I mean, I can't really complain. You know, I'm not the young stud that I used to be, 36-year-old man. But, you know, I still do what I do. I still take good care of myself. And of course, you know, I have to present a certain image online, and yeah, that's what I do. But for me, you know, it isn't all about the appearance. It's my main focus is the analysis. So, you know, just focusing on going deep into it and delivering a message. That's what's important to me. Everything else is just, you know, to make it presentable. So I try and get a decent room so that everything's, you know, clean and presentable. And it's nothing that's too distracting. Of course, you know, same thing with my appearance. You know, I want it to be, you know, easy on the eye kind of thing. Like your Homestead says, I try to keep the faith that there are normal people out there. I think that there are. There are people who aren't contaminated, who aren't like predatory, who aren't always like thinking 10 steps ahead of you, trying to manipulate you. I think there are still people out there who can just be in the moment and just, you know, who aren't just overly paranoid, afraid, you know, thinking that you're out to get them or that you're going to expose them, so they got to wear a mask. I think those people do still exist. They may be quite more rare. But yeah, you know, of course I have seen some people in my travels. I've met some people who they were quite genuine. They were quite real to me. But yeah, you know, that's what it's like when you come out of a relationship with a narcissist. You start thinking about in the past, and then you look around at people in the world and you think, what about what this person did? What about what they said? Was any of this real? Was anyone actually real, genuine, vulnerable, open, like I was? Or was it just me? And you may look back and you may see that, yeah, it seemed like practically everyone was narcissistic. Everyone was manipulative, deceiving, hiding things, controlling. It may seem like practically everyone in your life was like that. Everyone you ever met. And it's because, yeah, that's what most people are like. Practically everyone wears a mask. Everyone hides their true intentions, their true motives. That's what everyone does, pretty much. And it's going to be very rare that you will actually find someone who is pure, innocent, really just present in the moment. But that's the thing, because even when someone like that is there, same thing as that happened with you. A predator comes along and exploits that. They rob their innocence. It's very rare that two innocent people ever come together. That's why all of us, we've all gone through this. We were just innocent, unaware in the moment. We weren't thinking to do anything. And then they just got us. And we felt violated, betrayed, and they were just laughing at us. At the predators that they are. And we were their prey. And yeah, it's really sad. Especially for those who couldn't get it back. And yeah. It's because they don't have that. It's because they didn't have what we have. They weren't innocent, they weren't pure. And they're never going to share anything special with anyone, because look at how they treated you. Look at how they pounced on you when they saw that in you. It's something they just wanted to steal, destroy. But to me, it's beautiful. I believe that that is something that should be cherished, protected. But no, they want to expose you to disgusting things. They want to violate that, betray your trust. John Tracy says, we all have three personalities: public, private, secret, which is healthy. I mean, yeah, you could look at it that way, but, really, who you really are, that's who you are in secret. And really what we should be doing in an ideal world is making it so that who we are in public is as close to that person that we are in private as it can be. And for me, I would say that I am pretty authentic. What you see in my videos, it is just pretty much me. you know, without me just like laying on the bed naked like I do sometimes. I mean, but other than that, I mean, you're really just getting me. I don't really know how to be fake. Even if I try to be, I just end up laughing. I just find it funny because, you know, I know that, you know, if I'm acting, if I'm being fake towards someone, even if I'm just trying to, you know, if someone's being fake to me and I'm just playing along with them, I'll just immediately burst out laughing because I know what I'm doing. I'm taking something. You know, when you're being fake, you're being deceptive, you're stealing something from someone by doing that. Something that you shouldn't be taking, something that you don't deserve. And that's why if I try and play along with someone, like with a narcissist, I can't just be serious because of my innocent nature. It doesn't allow me to. I have to just give it back because I don't want anything like that to be a part of me. It's kind of just instinctual for me. I just let it go. But yeah, that's always been the main focus for me, is my purity. Like from the very beginning, you know, before I even start the channel, I became a vegan and I gave up like tobacco, alcohol, energy drinks, and I had a spiritual awakening. I did like a full detox, many different detoxes, and you know, just so many different things that I did to purify myself. Because that's always been important to me, is that cleansing the spirit, the soul. And that's really what you got to do after dealing with a narcissist. You know, that's how you remove that trauma bond. It's just purifying yourself. Janelle Lindsay says the last thing they would want to see is two genuine people together. They would be sick to their stomachs. Exactly. They wouldn't be able to stand that. Two people both getting what they will never have from each other. They will try to corrupt one of you. That's what they will do. One of you will never be the same anymore after that experience. But yeah, I'm gonna go and get to the gym now, do a workout, and then I'm gonna start back on the editing for a video that will be up tomorrow. I've got a video talking about how, yes, the narcissist is jealous of you. So that will be up tomorrow. Just gonna get to the gym and then do some more work on it later. But again, thank you all for joining me on another live video. Give it a thumbs up if it was helpful. Let me know your thoughts and any questions down below in the comment section. Subscribe if you're new, click on notifications so that you will be notified when I go live again. And if you would like guidance to support your healing journey, you can book a one-on-one with me by going to narcsurvivor.co.uk. And also follow me on Instagram. It is Narc Survivor YouTube. All right, thank you all. And I look forward to speaking with you in another live video very soon.